From the SNC World Headquarters in New York, I'm Haley Bianco, and here are the stories we're following at this hour. Hospital directors in northern Gaza say supplies are running out. It comes as hundreds of people have been killed and tens of thousands have fled their homes in northern Gaza in recent days. While in the Middle East this week, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced an additional $135 million in U.S. aid to the Palestinians, while again urging Israel to allow more assistance to enter the territory. Blinken is there in an effort to renew negotiations after Israeli forces killed top Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar in Gaza last week. Israel has been waging an air and ground offensive for more than 2 weeks in northern Gaza. Former President Donald Trump says he will fire special counsel Jack Smith within 2 seconds of taking office if elected president. Smith has charged Trump over his efforts to overturn the 2020 election and his mishandling of classified documents. Earlier today on Salem News Channel, Trump told host Hugh Hewitt that the decision would be so easy.
He's a crooked person. We got immunity at the Supreme Court. It's so easy. I would fire him within 2 seconds.
If elected, Trump could order the Justice Department to remove Smith. Former President Donald Trump is holding rallies today in Arizona and Las Vegas. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris is holding a rally tonight in the Atlanta suburbs with former President Barack Obama and musician Bruce Springsteen. Striking workers at U.S. plane maker Boeing have rejected a 35% pay raise offer. Around 2/3 of members from the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers Union rejected the proposal, meaning the weeks-long strike continues. Nick Harper has more from Washington.
More than 30,000 Boeing workers have been on the picket lines for almost 6 weeks now. The company had offered a 35% pay rise over 4 years, but union members roundly rejected that offer, as it falls below its demand for a 40% raise and extra pension benefits. Losses at Boeing, as a result of the strike, have now topped $6 billion and forced the company to slash 17,000 jobs, about 10% of its global workforce.
Denny says it's closing 150 of its lowest performing restaurants in an effort to turn around the brand's flagging sales. About half of the closures will happen this year and the rest in 2025. Texas has sued the Biden administration, claiming the federal government has failed to provide the state with information on the citizenship of registered voters. Tony Waterman brings us up to speed from Austin.
Attorney General Ken Paxton had requested the information earlier this month, implying that non-citizens could be voting in the upcoming election. He says there are roughly 450,000 voters who have registered without a Texas-issued driver's license or ID card, although his office admits they're likely to be U.S. citizens. It is extremely rare for non-citizens to vote in the U.S., and according to the conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation, there have been only 2 convictions in Texas in more than a decade.
Florida is suing the Justice Department to stop federal authorities from blocking the state's investigation into the second attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody filed the lawsuit against Attorney General Merrick Garland after federal officials told Florida to temporarily halt its own investigation while the federal probe into the September 15th incident at Trump's Florida golf course was underway. A West Texas city has banned transgender people from using restrooms outside of the sex assigned to them at birth. Members of the Odessa City Council expanded a 1989 ordinance that prohibits individuals from entering restrooms of the opposite sex. The ban applies to city buildings and facilities, including community centers, libraries, airports, and parks. The Pentagon has confirmed that North Korean troops are in Russia, undergoing training, likely for the purpose of being deployed to Ukraine. U.S. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby said they would be considered fair game and fair targets if they do deploy. Megumi Lim has more from Kyiv.
Based on U.S. intelligence assessments, at least 3,000 North Korean soldiers are believed to have been dispatched to eastern Russia for training. Pyongyang is already supplying Moscow with munitions in exchange for key military technology. And with their possible deployment to Ukraine, the North Korean military would gain critical combat experience and information about the performance of their weapons systems. Ukraine's military intelligence has said close to 11,000 North Korean soldiers will be ready for combat by November 1st.
French President Emmanuel Macron says France will provide an aid package of more than $100 million to Lebanon. It comes as Israel's bombing raids of what it says are Hezbollah targets inside Lebanon continues. Ross Cullen reports.
President Macron opened Thursday's aid summit here in the French capital by once again voicing his disapproval for Israel's ongoing bombing campaign and calling for an immediate and lasting ceasefire. Germany said it would join in with France, also pledging an aid package for Lebanon worth more than $100 million. France convened this aid conference hoping to convince allies in the some 70 countries and organisations taking part to meet the United Nations goal of reaching a total of more than $420 million for the Lebanese people, hundreds of thousands of whom have been displaced.
Sales of new U.S. single-family homes increased to the highest level in nearly 1.5 years in September, as buyers rushed in to take advantage of a decline in mortgage rates. The Commerce Department reported today that new home sales jumped 4.1% to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 738,000 units last month. New home sales advanced 6.3% on a year-on-year basis in September. In New York, I'm Haley Bianco, Salem News Channel.